What's going on, guys? Welcome back to F1 2021 My Team Career Mode for Season 3, round number 14, the Mexican Grand Prix. Now, you may have seen my post the other day. We skipped the United States Grand Prix because I had some difficulty AI issues. So here are the results from that race. Charles Leclerc came first. Sergio Perez, I think, has got second there. And third was actually Lewis Hamilton getting his first podium of the season. I didn't take part in the race. I just kind of crashed myself out at the beginning. I've had some issues with the AI difficulty and I've finally, I think, managed to figure it out now. I was honestly at the point where I was just ready to finish with it, but yeah, we'll talk about that a little bit later on, maybe even in a separate video. But as you can see here, I think last time out or the time before, we were told that we were going to have some changes in R&D for next season. Aerodynamics and chassis will both be changing for next season, so well, both be resetting. So that hopefully will switch up the grid a bit, and we'll see. Hopefully, we can still be at the top of the field because yeah, I really want to be able to fight for a title because this season, even though I think I've managed to figure out the whole AI thing now. It's too late now. I'm not really going to be fighting. It's going to take a hell of a lot to fight for the championship in these last 3 rounds. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. So yeah, hopefully next season we can actually have a proper fight for the championship. So yeah, I might as well talk about it while we go through qualifying here. I found this Reddit post, which I'm going to put the link to the Reddit post in the description below, where it's kind of a calculator for, you do like a bunch of laps in time trial mode, and you put your best lap into this calculator and it tells you what difficulty you should be running at. And it kind of has a table of from 0 AI difficulty all the way up to 110, the rough lap times that you want to be doing to use that AI difficulty level. And I've only done it for Mexico for this one so far, but it does seem to have worked. It seems to be much more reliable because I've always had the issue ever since starting this game that on some tracks I'm way quicker than the AI on the same difficulty level, but then another, like for instance, let's say Austria and Canada, I seem to be really quick around those tracks and I generally always do pretty well on the sort of the same AI difficulty that I've been running the whole time. However, on that exact same AI difficulty, if I go to Silverstone or if I go to Japan, Suzuka is another one that I'm pretty poor at. Tracks like that, some of those other different tracks, I cannot do well at all, even though the difficulty is exactly the same. So this calculator helps you decide and figures out what difficulty you need to put the AI on for each separate track, each separate race. So I'm going to start doing that in the future. Hopefully that's going to make the videos more interesting because generally, I mean, it's been good in the fact that I've kind of been fighting my way through the grid because I generally am quicker in the race than I am in qualifying, but it's still not fun qualifying way out of position and having to make your way through there. It's just frustrating when I can be up there battling with the cars that I should be battling with from the very start. So hopefully from now onwards we're going to figure it out. The rest of the races for this season, it's literally just Mexico this time. We've got Brazil next time, and then the season finale in Jeddah actually is the season finale, the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And then we're going to go on to next season, on to season 4, and then hopefully season 4 will be a really good season and there'll be some great battles and we can actually potentially get pole positions and stuff, because I haven't had a single pole position since I've been doing this career mode. I'm pretty much always qualifying just outside the top 10 or right at the bottom of the top 10, so this is hopefully going to fix things and make things more interesting going forward for next season and perhaps beyond if we do get another season before F1 2022 comes out. But as you can see here, Q3, we ended up P7. Daniel Ricciardo, our teammate, does go on pole, but we're only 3/10. We're just over 3/10 behind him, and it's a very, very close field at the front there. So even though, yes, our teammate's first, we're 7th, this is still way better than anything I've had in the previous 3 seasons, so let's see what we can do in the race.
Here we go then, it's time to race in Mexico City, a place which gave Honda their first ever victory back in 1965. American Richie Ginther won from 3rd on the grid. And what are the Honda-powered cars this year? Well, Red Bull have been going strong here in recent seasons, so can they keep that record going today? At 2,285 metres above sea level, the thin air of the Autodromo Hermanos Rodriguez poses a unique challenge, not just to a driver's skill, but to the efficiency of their engines as well. 17 corners make up a lap of this 2.6-mile circuit, and you can expect incredible speeds in excess of 220 miles per hour. and overtaking 2 into the hard braking zones of turns 1 and turn 4. Anthony Davidson, a very warm welcome to you as you join me in the commentary box for today's event. Why don't we kick off by discussing Max Verstappen? They need second or better to ensure they stay in contention for the title. Anything outside of that and their fate is no longer in their hands.
The key now will be to keep in the right mindset. We've seen time and again that things go wrong if you just try and do the minimum. Not necessarily because of the pressure, but because it's different to your usual approach. They'll need to avoid that and stay focused today.
It's time to see how our drivers are stacking up after yesterday's exciting qualifying session. Daniel Ricciardo starts from pole position today, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. As we continue through the rest of the grid today, we have Leclerc, Sainz, Antonio Giovinazzi, and Perez, Shaw, Hamilton, Gasly, and Guan Yu Zhou, Tsunoda, Vettel, Christian Lundgaard, and Stroll. Ocon, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Norris, George Russell, and Valtteri Bottas. They've taken a grid penalty. Fernando Alonso, Latifi, Mick Schumacher, and Nikita Mazepin. And now it's time to head down to the track.
Alright, so here we go for the Mexican Grand Prix in Season 3. Hopefully we can have a good race at the top of the field here as we go to 5 red lights and they are out and we get underway. It's actually not the best start from us. Quite a few cars look like they're getting good starts up ahead. There's a car, Pierre Gasly, no, that's Lewis Hamilton pulling out alongside us and he gets a good position here. We've also then got Guan Yu Zhou going down the outside. I think Pierre Gasly is on the outside there as well. A lot of cars going in to small places here as we're tussling with Guan Yu Zhou. We've just about managed to stay in front of him, but Hamilton has got past us and he's just up ahead. There's a lot of cars all squabbling over positions right in front of us. Hamilton and Perez, that is, side by side up ahead as we try and go up the inside of Hamilton. We make a little bit of contact with his right rear, but I don't think we've got any damage. Nothing has come up on the display there, and we just have a quick look. There's no indication that we have damage, so I think we have gotten away with that, and we've actually just about managed to get past Lewis Hamilton there, and we're up into, I think, P6, so we've made one position off from the start of the race. That is a decent enough start. Oh no, we're in P7, sorry, because somebody must have got past us. I can't think of who it was, but yeah, we started, what did we start? We started P7, so yeah, I guess we just haven't made any positions, because I think Hamilton was behind us and we've just managed to get back past him after he overtook us at the start. But we continue on here. We've got the 2 Red Bulls in front of us, but as we have a look at the start again from the front of the grid, Daniel Ricciardo does not get a very good start at all from pole position. He gets overtaken by Charles Leclerc, who gets a great start and is ahead of Max Verstappen as well, trying to fend him off into turn 1, and it is Charles Leclerc who will lead into turn 1. It's 3 wide with Ricciardo, Sainz and Verstappen going through turn 2, turn 3, and it looks like there's a bit of contact there. That might have been Verstappen coming across Ricciardo there, potentially giving him a little bit of damage, because it looks like Ricciardo has slowed right down here and he will actually come into the pits at the end of the first lap. So that is not a good start to the race for the pole position man and our teammate Daniel Ricciardo. As we continue on here, we've got a great run now on Sergio Perez in the Red Bull. It's his home Grand Prix. He has not had a whole lot of luck at his home Grand Prix in the last 2 seasons, has crashed both times, or at least spun out. I think he spun out twice last season, or maybe season 1 he spun out twice, and then he actually crashed out of the race last season. So Sergio Perez not had the best luck at his home Grand Prix, but he's trying to make up for that today. Currently running P5, but is running behind his teammate Giovinazzi, who is leading the championship right now. As we remember, Giovinazzi leads. I'm pretty sure it's Perez second in the standings. Leclerc's actually got himself up to 3rd by winning the United States Grand Prix last time out, and I think then it's Verstappen in 4th, and the Martin Brundle, I think it was, actually said at the start of this race that just before we started the race, that Verstappen has to finish at least second to he has to finish no worse than second to stay in contention for this championship. So at the moment looks like he's sitting in P3, so not doing a terrible job right now, but he's going to be wanting to do more. But he's actually getting overtaken by Carlos Sainz up ahead. Sainz, of course, is the is the second Ferrari driver. He's not had the best luck this season. He's way down on his teammate there and well out of the championship. He's also behind us too by a fair amount, but he's managed to get himself past Verstappen, and this is not good. Verstappen seems to have issues. He's really slow around here. Does he have damage from Ricardo as well? Did he get a little bit of side pod damage maybe, because he's really looking slow? And we're actually looking as Perez doesn't seem to want to go for an overtake. We're looking for an overtake on the two of them. We're going to get two cars in one corner. Verstappen's going to try and fight us back into this kind of stadium section here at the end, but we've got the position, two positions in one corner, Verstappen and Perez, and it's a good start to the race for us as we come on to our first pit stop for our second set of soft tires. But look, the nose is getting changed. I did not know there was any damage on the car. My only thought is that damage must have been from when we just slightly tagged Lewis Hamilton on the first or second lap. But yeah, it's one of those things again where it must have been such minimal damage that the game didn't tell me that there was damage. But yeah, that's really annoying because we had to change front wing and there wasn't anything I could do about it. But thankfully I don't think I've lost a whole lot of time. We come out just behind Guan Yu Zhou and Perez, so Perez and Zhou have both managed to jump us. I think Verstappen is a fair way back because he has got an issue, and he might actually even be out of the race at this point. I'm not 100% sure. I think he might have already DNF'd due to a mechanical failure. But we look up ahead here, Guan Yu Zhou going for a move on Sergio Perez, the home hero. He's not having the terrible race that he usually does at the moment, but he isn't exactly setting the world alight with his teammate Antonio Giovinazzi well up the road now. Perez is down to 6th and we're in 7th, so we got up to P4. We've now got to get those positions back again thanks to that front wing change. As we watch on here with Lando Norris, he would start down in P16 after a grid penalty, so he's trying to make his way through the field, gets an overtake done on, I believe that is Pierre Gasly in the AlphaTauri. He's on a set of mediums, Lando Norris on a second set of softs, I believe. So yeah, different strategies going on there. We're also going for the two-stop strategy from 2 sets of softs to a set of mediums, so it's going to be interesting to see how that works out for us, as on lap number 16 we're going to try and go for a move on Sergio Perez. We've got DRS. He's, I don't think, quite close enough to Guan Yu Zhou up ahead to have the DRS, and we just about get the move done on Perez. Maybe run a little bit too wide into turn 1, but we've just about got it done and we're ahead and back up into P6 again. And now Guan Yu Zhou is the next driver to try and get past here. Really frustrating that we've lost like 3 positions because of that front wing change to damage that didn't seem to be affecting me at all. But hey, the team changed it, so there's not really much I could do about that, as we're going to try and go for a late move on Guan Yu Zhou into turn 1, but he goes very defensive and we just can't quite get him in time. We're right behind him though, so we're going to have a look through this section here, but we're not quite close enough, and there's actually yellow flags behind us, and somebody is out of the session there. Not sure who that was. I think it might have been Esteban Ocon actually, who is out of the race. There he is, pulled up to the right hand side, so not a good race for him. And that actually really screws us over, because we could have potentially got a DRS overtake done on Guan Yu Zhou there, but I had to slow down, and then we get it caught way up on the curbs. I had to slow down because there was yellow flags, so I couldn't get the overtake done, so that was quite frustrating there. But next lap around, we're really trying to get past him now. We don't want him to catch up to his teammate, actually, Lewis Hamilton, just up ahead, running a decent enough race here. But we're going to now go for the move on Guan Yu Zhou a lot earlier this time. We're much closer coming out of the final corner, and we get up into P5. We've just got Hamilton to overtake, and then we're back to where we were before we came in for that first pit stop. As we have a look here, the other Alpine driver of Christian Lundgaard going around here doing a decent enough job. He's not doing too bad, but as he comes around this infamous corner here where a lot of people have had crashes, he goes just straight on. It looks absolutely ridiculous on the screen there, but if you have a little listen, it sounds like his engine's having a few little spurty issues there, and he just spins around and collects the wall, breaks his car, and that gets the safety car out. It brings the safety car out onto the track. So that means about halfway through this race, just over halfway through this race, we've got a safety car, but thankfully I was only going to be coming into the pits a lap or 2 later anyway, so we just come in a little bit earlier for our final pit stop onto a set of medium tyres, and we're going to go to the end on these tyres. But as we come out of the pits, my DRS is now broken. That literally just happened as I came out of the pits, so really not great for us there, but hopefully we'll spend a couple of laps behind the safety car and it'll be fixed by the time we're ready to go. But as we are about to go racing with the safety car here, my DRS has not been fixed just yet. However, we don't have DRS to use for another 2 laps yet, so I'm hopeful that we will be able to figure it out. There's also a lot of blue flag cars that need lapping in between everyone. It's Abu Dhabi 2021 all over again here, as I think it was Schumacher who was just ahead of us. He was in like P19, but ahead of us. We then got Russell and Mazepin having a battle, ding-dong battle, tyre wall to tyre wall there in front of us, and it's just absolutely chaotic because there are lapped cars everywhere and we're just trying to get through them. The game doesn't have a mechanic to let lapped cars through while there's a safety car out by the looks of it. So yeah, it ended up being a bit of a chaotic start to the race, but we have, I think, just about managed to get through past all those lapped cars. At the restart again here, just looking from the front of the grid, Charles Leclerc had a massive lead at the start of this race. He absolutely pulled a massive margin, but with the safety car bunching everyone back up again, Giovinazzi, the championship leader, is going for a move on Leclerc. Leclerc currently in 3rd in the championship, and Giovinazzi is doing a great job this season, and he's fighting the Monegasque driver for P1. It looks like he's just about got it done, so Leclerc is not going to be happy at all here. It's such a massive margin. He was easily set to win this race and potentially take the lead of the championship once again, but he's now been overtaken by the Red Bull, and now Hamilton and Pierre Gasly also having a bit of a battle there as Hamilton manages to get past Gasly, and Gasly is now ahead of us. We're in P6 because I don't think Gasly came in for a pit stop under the safety car. He's already, I think, going to the end on these tyres, or he's going onto a set of softs. Sorry, I'm starting to lose my voice here. I need a drink of water, I didn't prepare, but we're going to go for a move on Pierre Gasly. He's going very defensive into turn 1. It's a similar story to what we had with Guan Yu Zhou, but this time we actually managed to get side by side, and it's all side by side through the turn 1, 2, 3 chicane, and we just about managed to get the position on Gasly. Really awesome little battle there, side by side through the first corners. Awesome, and now we've got to hunt down Lewis Hamilton up ahead as we look at Lando Norris once again, still trying to make his way through the grid here, going for a move on, I believe that's Guan Yu Zhou. He's really showing some good pace here, Lando Norris, after being way down the order thanks to a grid penalty. You can also see Daniel Ricciardo just behind, I think that's got to be Sergio Perez there, who once again not having the best race here, as I believe that is Guan Yu Zhou coming into the pits actually there. And now Ricciardo is sizing up Sergio Perez. He's going to the inside. Perez doesn't go too defensive going into turn 1 here, and Ricciardo manages to keep himself alongside there. And going into turn 1, they're going to be side by side, but it looks like Ricciardo has just about got that position back, and he's going to try and make his way through the order again after that bad start from pole position. But now there is tension between the two Ferraris. Carlos Sainz going for a move on his teammate Charles Leclerc. Of course, Leclerc was leading this race by a mile, and Leclerc is in contention for the championship. Sainz is not in contention for the championship, but it looks like Ferrari do not care, or they're just letting them race. And now we're up the outside of Lewis Hamilton. It's 2 by 2 going into this section here. Great little battles. We're side by side with Lewis Hamilton through this whole section, but we're going to squeeze him out, not make any mistakes this time like we did on the first lap with making contact with him, and we get the position. We're up into P4 now. A podium is just a sniff away, but it's now Carlos Sainz in 2nd place with Leclerc in 3rd, so a fall from grace from Leclerc, and now we're looking to make a move on the Monegasque driver. He was looking like he was fairly easily going to win this race in the first half of it before the safety car came out, but now he's just blundering under the pressure here. And his title battle is slowly starting to fade away, especially with his teammates Carlos Sainz ahead of him now, who is not even in contention for the championship anymore, especially not compared to Leclerc. Even I think with a P2, Sainz is still going to be out of the championship here, but Leclerc is still very much in it. But yeah, Ferrari seem to be letting these two just race, or then Sainz just isn't playing ball here and just wants to show some good racing here after a lot of bad luck throughout this season. But we continue on here. We've got the two Ferraris still ahead of us. Hamilton still right behind us as well. We've got a bit of a gap to Norris and Guan Yu Zhou, and I think Gasly as well, maybe Perez too, and Ricciardo. There's quite a few cars, I think, behind us there, as Leclerc's going quite defensive on these last couple of laps here into the S's section. It's a good battle, but the problem for Leclerc is he's now having to defend from me more than he can attack his teammates, so it's not looking good, and we're still having to be quite defensive from Hamilton because, you know, I'd love to finish P3, P2, but I'm happy to stay P4 than fall back to P5 where Hamilton is, especially with Norris and that also catching up behind us. As on the last lap of the Grand Prix here, we're still trying to find a way past Leclerc. We're getting right up the back of him, but we just don't quite have the drive out of that corner through the S's section. I'm pretty good through the section I'm okay. It's out of the section here where I seem to just be a lot better than the AI, but Leclerc gets it pretty well this time as we go into the stadium section for the final time. Giovinazzi has a pretty big lead at the front, and he goes ahead to win the Mexican Grand Prix. I think that's the third win for Giovinazzi this season and in his whole F1 career. Carlos Sainz is going to come home for P2, Leclerc in P3, and we're going to come home for P4. It's been a pretty good, a very exciting race. I'm happy that I've found this whole thing with the AI, so that hopefully in the future we can have plenty of great racing. I can actually qualify well and have good races. Lando Norris gets driver of the day, great drive from him, and all round this is going to be interesting for the championship.
Victory in Mexico then, and what a victory it is after an incredible Grand Prix. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
Without a doubt, the safety car changed everything today. The key to their success was keeping calm and reacting to the situation quickly. We've seen teams in the past throw away wins because they were too hesitant, but here they were decisive, and that's allowed them to take the advantage.
Red Bull put up an outstanding fight for the front position today, and it's great to see it paid off for them. They do so much for the sport that you can't help but be delighted by today's race win.
So Giovinazzi wins the Mexican Grand Prix. Carlos Sainz comes home for P2, beating his teammate Charles Leclerc in P3, but I'm sure Leclerc is not going to be too happy with his teammate there because, you know, he's in contention for the championship. Sainz really is not in contention. So, yeah, Leclerc's gonna really want a win, especially because he really deserved the win here, but the safety car just screwed him over, and Giovinazzi just put it all down to win that race and get the overtake done. But you've got to commend Giovinazzi though. He's driving really good at the moment and is besting his more experienced teammate of Sergio Perez. So yeah, it's really interesting stuff. And Giovinazzi still leads the championship. I think that is 20 points ahead of Charles Leclerc, who is now in second. He moves up to second. Sergio Perez drops down to third. So I think realistically it's a battle between Giovinazzi, Leclerc, and perhaps Perez if he can step up his game a little bit. Verstappen is out of the running now. He's 45 points. I mean, I think he is realistically still in the running if he wins both races and the other guys score no points, but realistically it's really a 3-horse fight. If anything, I'd say probably a 2-horse fight between Giovinazzi and Leclerc. And then in the Constructors' Championship, nothing else changes. Red Bull still dominate at the top, McLaren in second place, we're in third, and Ferrari down there in fourth place. But anyway, that's going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed, please go ahead, like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.